Hello language learners, it's Maddie here from English with Maddie, and today I'm here to continue on my newest series, my book club series, where I am both reading aloud chapters from books and introducing you to some of the books that I have in my personal library here in my home. As you can see, we're sitting next to one of my bookshelves. I have so many books. I have always been a hoarder of books. I love to read, and more than anything, I love to have a physical book in my hand. So no matter where I'm living, you can always find a stack of books next to me. Today, I am going to be introducing you to 6 autobiography, memoir kind of books that I love and that I think might be good choices for you to read as you are working on practicing English and reading more in English. The first book I want to introduce to you is one that I read when I was younger. I think I read this one in middle school, early middle school maybe in about 6th grade. So it is not a challenging book. The first time I read this was in a mother-daughter book club, and it was a ton of fun. Everybody loved it. It is by EwM. It is called Chinese Cinderella. This book is not too long. Let's see, it's less than 200 pages. So for many reasons, I think it's a great book to start off with. This is the true story of the author of EwM, and this woman has had an incredible experience throughout her life, especially in her early years, being a daughter in China. And she is talking about her experience as a young girl in China, what it was like, her unique family situation that maybe is not so unique. Maybe a lot of other girls experience something similar to her, the hardships she encountered as a child. Since then, she has become an incredibly famous author. She's very talented. And so even though this book is easy enough to read for younger readers, I would not hesitate to pick it up if you are an adult. I think it's fabulous and I highly recommend it. Continuing on in our Asian theme, there is this book called Confucius Lives Next Door. I have read it more than once. I have also gifted this book to many of my friends and family members. And I think it is a very interesting perspective and might be very interesting depending on your background to be reading this content. So the author, T.R. Reid, he is a journalist, an American journalist, and for his work for 5 years, he moved, not just by himself, but with his wife and his children, to Japan. And it was their first encounter with Japan. And so, as one might expect, everything was new, cultures were new, language was new, and each chapter T.R. Reid goes through and talks a little bit about different things that he observes, and as he is a journalist by trade, he has a great voice to share those observations with. So this is about his personal life, but it is also a great look into culture shock, comparing American and Japanese cultural differences. So this is another one I would recommend. It is about 250 pages long, so not too long. It is manageable, but definitely longer than Chinese Cinderella. Then the next 2 books I want to introduce to you are books that I love. because as you may or may not know, I am a classically trained pastry chef. I studied in France. I went to a pastry school and then completed my internship in the south of France. So before I went, and even after, but especially before, I was feeling very unsure about my decision and wanted to hear from people who had made this choice, especially women in America who had decided to move abroad to study something like pastry. So I found these two books. The first one is called The Sharper Your Knife, The Less You Cry. And it is about this woman, Kathleen Flynn, and she moves a little bit suddenly to France to go to Le Cordon Bleu, a very famous school for French cuisine. And this book talks about her journey in going from her life in America to moving everything and moving across the world to study something completely different. So this is a great book. It is a great mix of travel and her personal life and food and everything all wrapped into one book. So I would highly recommend it. This book is almost 300 pages. So we're increasing in the length of book here, but I still highly recommend this book. Keeping with our food theme, this is a book I read more recently. It's called Killing It by Kamas David. This woman is from Portland, Oregon. So I was drawn to this. My brother lives in Portland, so it especially caught my eye. This woman had been a food journalist, and let me just read you a snippet of the inside cover. Kamas Davis was at an unhappy crossroads. A longtime magazine editor, she had left New York City to pursue a simpler life in her home state of Oregon with the man she wanted to marry, and taken an appealing job as the food editor at a Portland magazine. But neither job nor man delivered on her dreams, and in the span of a year, Kamas was unemployed, on her own, with nothing to fall back on. Disillusioned by the decade she had spent as a lifestyle journalist, advising other people how to live their best lives, she had little idea how best to live her own life. She did know one thing. She no longer wanted to write about the genuine article. She wanted to be it. So she also goes on an amazing food journey and completely changes her life from writing about or editing articles and talking about things to just doing it and learning and being hands-on. So a very interesting read, especially if you are the kind of person who's wondering if you are at the crossroads in your life. I think she's a great voice to listen to. This is on the longer side, about 330 pages long. Then we will get into the last two books I have to introduce to you today. And these are if you are interested in something a little bit lighter, a little bit funnier, or if you're looking for something that's less of a cross-cultural commentary and more of a pop culture or public figure kind of thing. I have two really amazing female comedian actresses here. The first one is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me and Other Concerns by Mindy Kaling. The second one is Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. I love both of these books. I have read them, I've listened to the audiobook in the car, and I think both of these women are really incredible, strong, creative, talented, amazing people in the industry right now. I think they're both very funny, and that comes through a lot in their autobiographies. If you do get the chance to listen to the autobiography, they each read their own book aloud, which I think is so cool to hear their voice. If you are unfamiliar with these actresses, comedians, I would definitely recommend looking them up. They have both been in some amazing things that are some of my favorite shows. So both of them, Bossy Pants and Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me and Other Concerns, are a little bit on the shorter side, so a little bit more manageable. Just over 200 pages, I think, for both of these here. So not too bad at all, pretty easy to read. And the plus side about reading one of these books is they're talking about their experience growing up in the US and getting a job in the US, and of course being actresses and comedians. Maybe it's a little bit different than what you or I might experience, but the cool thing is that they're talking primarily about cities and states and places in the United States, where some of the other ones you're getting a look at France, China, Japan, other places around the world. So this is a little bit more on topic if you want to read about America specifically and not just an American person. So I know there are so many more amazing autobiographies and memoirs out there. I just wanted to give you a little taste at a couple of my favorites. I hope you enjoyed these little descriptions of some of my favorite reads. If you are interested in reading any of these books, and if you're interested in reading any of these books with a little bit of guided help, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will be setting up a book club page on my English with Maddie website, so you don't have to worry if you didn't jot all these titles down. If you go into the description box, you can find a link to the English with Maddie website, and there you can find a list of all of the different books that I talked about today, and a little bit more about what they are, how long they are, the reading level, that kind of thing. So thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was fun. I know I was talking a little bit quickly, so if it was too challenging, I recommend going back and trying to listen to it for a second time. So I hope you're enjoying this new book club and talking about books series on English with Maddie. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell down below so you don't miss out on any future episodes. On that note, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you again soon. Happy studying!